What is up, my friends, and welcome to another edition of the XFL Week in Review. I'm your host, Mark Perry, editor of XFL News Hub. And on this week's show, Hugh Jackson turns down an XFL coaching job. The XFL posts its first job. By the way, it is not there anymore. This USFL draft chatter, we'll get into that, plus so much more. So if you want to be part of the show, email podcast at XFL News Hub with your thoughts or record an MP3 or video on your phone, and we will play it on next week's show. Leave a voicemail. Also, 888-430-7692, extension 3. Please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We will read it on the show. We're on Stitcher, Audible, Player FM, Amazon Music, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and of course, iTunes. Leave us a review there. And you can leave us a review on Spotify and I think Audible as well. We'd appreciate that. And we are live every week at 8 p.m. Eastern. You can watch XFL Week in Review on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. All live there. And we are 410 days from XFL kickoff, February 18th, 2023. The XFL season begins. However, June 18th, 2022 is this year. And it is around the corner, my friends. So what's up? Remember, and make sure you like and subscribe to this channel, because if you like football, then like and subscribe to this channel. Hit the notification bell when we go live or when we have any new videos. It helps spread the word about all football leagues, USFL, XFL, fan control football. We have another channel for CFL football as well. But for this channel, it helps spread the word. So smash the like button and hit that subscribe and that notification bell so you know every time we go live or we have some new video for you as we build up towards this 2022 season. It's a new year. And I just wanted to point out that last week's show that is only a week old, was actually that we did on a Tuesday. That's not even a week old. Is the fourth largest live stream we have ever done, and it's not even a week old. That tells you not only the power of XFL News Hub and the awesome community that we have as part of it, but also the interest in the USFL and the XFL. It's going to be off the charts as we get closer and closer and with all this kind of news. So that is really cool. And thank you for everybody who's smashing that like button. Let's try to get to 100 likes for this episode. Would be awesome. We were at like 80 something last week. Let's get to 100 likes on this episode. That would be awesome. So take a second, give us a like. This spreads it out through YouTube. Other people see it. The NFL season is winding down. My Ravens are out of it. A lot of other teams are out of it. Now we can get hyped for the USFL and then, of course, the XFL coming after that next year. So lots of exciting news, especially in the first quarter. Also, might not have a show next week unless it's big news. Now, why, you ask? It's because I and my wife are running in the Disney World Marathon on Sunday. So we will be in Disney World all weekend as part of the Disney Marathon, and then spending a couple days and heading back home. So we're really excited about that. A little weary of all the what's going on and flight cancellations and all that stuff. Hopefully that stuff trickles out before we head out of town. But we're very excited about that. I've been training for, 14 weeks or something like that. 18 weeks, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's been 18 weeks training for the marathon. I've done half marathons. I've done Tough Mudders. I've done all this stuff. I used to be a smoker, a full-time smoker. I gave that up, and I just don't do anything half. I just quit smoking and become a trainer instead. And so I was a trainer for a while on the side, and that's my story. And then now I'm 47 and really kind of got my life together in my 40s. And then now I am running this marathon. Disney Marathon will be my first marathon. Go big or go home. I mean, you got to have a journey. I tell my kids all the time, if you don't have some kind of journey, something you're working towards, then life just kind of gets kind of dull and boring. And that's why we're excited about XFL News Hub. We're excited about CFL News Hub and growing the audience. And we have something to look forward to which is this new league and this new community and things that are going to be built all around it. So we're super excited about that. Also, you check out, what do you think of my new hat? I like it. It's actually very comfortable. It's the USFL hat that I got. I got it this year. It came in the mail, and I did a little unboxing on the social media stuff. But yeah, so I got my USFL hat. It's very comfortable. I like it. I kind of like it better than the XFL. Um, you know, the this one kind of gives me a headache. I mean, I bet you they're like the same thing. They're the same brand. Hold on. Nope, different brands. Different brands. But yeah, this hat I like. I mean, I like the look of this one, but this one kind of gave me a headache. Put that over there. But we'll be wearing the USFL one a little bit. I like it. What do you think? And I did get it distressed. I got it distressed on purpose. Oh, I wasn't like, oh my god, I opened the box and then, oh my god, you can't believe this garbage. No, I like it. It's good. It is good. I'm excited about that. So I'm excited about the XFL. I'm excited to talk to you about this USFL stuff that happened over the weekend on the Twitter sphere. We'll get into that in the social media part of the show. But let's just, to start off, welcome everybody in the chat. And without further ado, folks, let's just get into the week that was the XFL. Former Browns head coach Hugh Jackson turned down an XFL coaching job, and you'll see from reaction from some of the fans that they weren't too upset about that. So the new head coach at Louisiana's Grambling State University, Hugh Jackson, is happy to be in his new position. The former NFL coach sat down with USA Today's Mike Jones to discuss his new job. In the article, it was also revealed that the XFL came calling as well. Quote, a longtime position coach, well-respected offensive coordinator, and a two-time head coach in the NFL, Jackson could have waited to see if his phone would ring for an interview request or a high-ranking assistant position offer. He'd already received an inquiry from the XFL about a potential head coaching position, close quote. So it looks like both the XFL and USFL are actively looking to lock down their coaches. We've heard from sources within the USFL that they too are close to making some coaching announcements, like as in this month. Now, in January, Jackson's name was brought up as the OC, offensive coordinator position for the Pittsburgh Steelers, my wife's team, along with former DC Defenders head coach / GM Pep Hamilton. Hamilton went on to become the QB coach for the Houston Texans. There was a nice article written about Hamilton and the work that he's done in Houston. Would love to see, I don't want to see him lose his job. Pep Hamilton, that is. However, I would love to see him back in the league. It looks like, however, Jackson is here to stay in the HBCU school. He goes on to talk about that. He was a head coach with the Cleveland Browns in 2018. So the XFL is actively looking for coaches, as is the USFL. They're going to start locking guys down for contracts real soon. We'll have to stay tuned. The XFL's first job posting of the 3.0 era just happened this past week. So XFL superfan Jake Henry found this interesting post on XFL's LinkedIn page. The XFL is looking for a controller. This would be the first job posting of the XFL 3.0 era. Basically, this job was posted by Senior Vice President of People Operations, Cindy Wagner, who we had reported about. That was part of the list of names that was hired. Her name was part of that new batch of people. It says about the XFL. The XFL is a fan-first, fast-paced professional football league powered by the combined partnership of owners Danny Garcia, Dwayne Johnson, and Redbird Capital Partners. The XFL will have innovative rules and enhanced in-game access to create a highly engaging and entertaining experience for fans and a new opportunity for players to play the game of football. Kickoff spring 2023. This role was to oversee the accounting, treasury, and payroll. So if you're a comptroller or controller person, not a video game controller, you can check out this job. However, The job is not on there anymore. There is no more jobs. Did they fill the position or did we kind of blow up their spot? Who knows? One thing to note about the job description, it says, please note the position will work remotely. Tri-state area preferred. So to me, it looks like the position is based in New York, which is most likely at the Redbird Capital offices. This would mean that the XFL has moved on from its roots in Stamford, Connecticut, at the WWE offices. However, it didn't take long for this job is no longer, the job posting is no longer on LinkedIn. We'll have to stay tuned to see if more job postings become available. And I will say this, the USFL does have a lot of job postings on the Fox Careers page. If you want to check out, just type in USFL, you could see a lot of positions there being filled. But we thought this was worth noting because it was the first job we've seen from the XFL posting in the three-point era. So Jordan Ta'amu joined the Panthers. I think he's still on the team as PJ Walker goes on the you-know-what reserve list. So XFL would like to congratulate St. Louis Battlehawks quarterback Jordan Ta'amu. He signed with the Carolina Panthers practice squad. Ta'amu, who is already on his fifth NBA team, came to prominence, of course, in the XFL by throwing for over 1,000 yards and 5 touchdowns and 5 gains during the shortened season. He was also able to lead the Battlehawks to a 3-2 record and in prime position for a playoff run as well. So PJ Walker gets placed on the list. That brings in Jordan Ta'amu. And as of this video, Ta'amu is still on the roster for the Carolina Panthers. We'll see how long he lasts. Yep, that's me. Cardell Jones talks to TMZ Sports once back in the XFL. The former DC Defenders QB Cardell Jones recently talked to TMZ Sports about his future plans. He said he is not retired and looking for another shot in the XFL. When asked about the XFL, the former Ohio State QB said, quote, just a few things that have been announced as some personnel guys and just from a couple of people I know that's going to be involved when it comes to the front office. They're pushing a kind of combine-ish thing, June, July, and June. But who's to say the NFL will come calling before that? Jones then talks about working with somebody like The Rock, a very famous thing, and now that he's part of the XFL. He was asked if he still wants to play, and he said, quote, XFL, NFL, whatever it may be, if the opportunity is there, I'm definitely going to take advantage of it, close quote. Now, Jones came out of the gate in the XFL with 2 straight games of over 200 yards and 2 touchdown passes, but he began to fizzle in games 3 and 4 and was benched in game 5 when Tyree Jackson took over. Jackson is now playing tight end for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jones was coached by former DC Defenders head coach and current Houston Texans QB coach Pep Hamilton. Now, there was talk within the Defenders organization that Jackson was their guy and wanted him to start the rest of the season over Jones. Of course, we don't know. The XFL 2.0 era was cut short by you-know-what. Now, Jones infamously tweeted he went to go see Sonic the Hedgehog movie, and after that, his play dropped off a cliff. Some XFL fans called it the Sonic Curse. Jones will have plenty of opportunities with the XFL and USFL if he chooses. I wouldn't be surprised if one of the leagues brings him in. I'm also surprised, and here's an interesting thing. I'm also surprised TMZ didn't ask him specifically about the USFL. See, TMZ and the USFL are both owned by Fox. I thought that was so strange. I was waiting for some kind of question about the USFL, and I think I might have mentioned this on the Markcast last week. I think it came up in the conversation. I don't remember. I talked to so many people. I wonder if he did reach, or the USFL actually told him they weren't interested, and that's why the USFL name didn't come up. But still, TMZ is it still wouldn't have hurt even if he knew. TMZ is, owned by Fox, who also owns the USFL. So I was really surprised that the USFL name didn't come up in their conversation, only about the NFL and XFL. And there's only a week left, so I don't think the NFL will be calling. Will the XFL call? I don't know. Remember all that stuff that happened on the sideline, him calling out his teammates? I'm not sure if he has a run in the XFL. We will have to see. He had first 2 great games. He was great for the DC Defenders. Nice guy. Got to meet him at one of the events. So, but play talks, we'll find out. Do you think Cardell Jones will have a spot in the USFL? Or did they tell him no, that they weren't interested? They wanted to go for younger guys. But he's certainly a name. TMZ is still interested in talking to him. We will just have to find out if guys like Cardell Jones winds up in the XFL, USFL, or none of the above. We'll just have to find out. All right, we'll take a commercial break and be right back with your social media stuff right after this. Stay tuned, my friends.
This week on the Markcast, we've got CFL end-of-year business wrapping up. A lot of moves, a lot of players being let go from their contracts, a lot of players, being re-upped, a lot of front office moves around Edmonton. We'll talk about all of that.
Yeah, we're talking CFL. We have CFL News Hub and XFL News Hub editor-in-chief, right? Mark Perry coming on our host site. We talk with Mark about XFL stuff, CFL stuff, and his fascination with fan control football. I don't really know. I'm going to have to dig into that. Well, what is up, my friends? We have
yes.
The Invasion. We have Mark Perry on, not your namesake, the Mark Castle, though there is some confusion about that. Realistically, how are you feeling about this? Because like I said, this isn't things that we talk about every day in the, so I don't know. What are you bullish on the USFL? What are we thinking?
I am. It's a battle of two different types of business plans. You have the slow build, Brian Woods, Fox element of it, and then you have the XFL coming right out of the gate, just like Vince did.
Also, we're going to talk XFL. We've got the Rock put out the clip. It got 2 million views. A lot of people are interested in the XFL and the technology behind the XFL. There's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes in terms of legal stuff that we're getting into. In terms of patents that they've required and maybe not acquired, we'll determine that, and we'll get back to you on that. We've also got news about movement in the NFL. There's been a lot of player movement in the NFL. We'll talk about that as well.
That's a fun end of the year show. We got some voicemail, some well wishes. We're building traction on YouTube again, and we're going. It's all excitement going into 2022. So
definitely, we hope you tune in and like and subscribe to our podcast, and we'll see you this week on the Markcast.
All right, my friends, we are back. I don't know how delayed we are with that blank thing when my site just went totally kaput. My computer. I don't know what the heck happened there, but we're still streaming. Everything is good. We will get into your social media stuff in a second, even though my computer is still acting very strange. Let's close a couple windows here. This is live TV, ladies and gentlemen. This is how we roll. This is just how it goes. But we're still streaming. Seems like everything is cool, I guess. Let's get into some of your social media stuff. I want to play. Let's get into the chat room real quick as this reloads on the fly here. But thank you for being patient. Make sure you smash that like button. Help us out with that. All right, let's go to, all right, we're back. Are the same everyday gamer 32 says, are the same teams going to be in the XFL? We don't know. Last week, The Rock put out that message, that big, huge show that we had, saying that there could be some new teams. Could Houston move and be a different team, or do they stay in Houston? Does Dallas move? What's going on with San Antonio? What's going on with San Diego? We don't know what's going on there. Paladin's Emo says, got done cooking dinner. Good for you. We had Chick-fil-A tonight, and that was fine. Everyday Gamer 32 says, I hope DC Defender's still a team. I know. I'm a little worried. I don't see why they wouldn't bring back. I think they had the young demographic. I think they had a good stadium. There's no problems in DC, and I'd be surprised if they don't bring the DC Defenders back. The only one, Paladin says, the only one I can see getting rebranded is the Roughnecks, just to avoid the trademark, and the NFL will slap on next. That's why I think the Roughnecks, I think the name can stay the same. It's just the logo might change. We'll see what's that. Chris checking in says, hello, anybody in there? Just nod if you can hear me, and we'll be no more. Is there anybody in there? Just nod if you can hear me. David says, hacked. No, I wasn't hacked. I don't know what happened. Just went blank, and then jacked up my. I don't know what the heck that was. Let's see. Let's see. Zach says, "What's up, Mark? I'm feeling better by leaps and bounds from where I was Friday. I was under the weather with the thing. I have had all 3 jabs and still got it. Yeah, we've had a run of that thing, as you call it, even in our house. Luckily, my wife and I are okay and everything's good. But there was a couple people that had it. It's been a crazy week. Hopefully, things chill out when it comes to that. So I'm glad you're feeling better. And it's just a crazy time we live in. That's all I can say. It's a crazy time. There, Chris says, DC Vipers, Orlando Rage, St. Louis Battlehawks, San Diego Wildcats. Maybe. Appreciate that. All right, we'll get into your social media stuff. We'll just take a quick break. I wanted to play this video clip. Hold on. Before we get into a quick break and get into your social media stuff, we'll talk about the USFL. Yeah, so you saw that. Ballers Collective coming to Fan Control Football in January. I'm super excited about that. Again, I talked to Reed about, and the Markcast, as you heard from that little commercial spot there, talking about NFTs. I talked a lot about NFTs and why I like Fan Control Football. You can check out that clip and check out their show, what I have to say about that. But I'm really excited to see where they take this NFT aspect in their league, and I'm all about getting involved with that. So I wanted to play that clip for you. So that's coming to Fan Control Football this year. I'm super excited about that. Andrew says, "Hey, Mark, Happy New Year." Happy New Year to you guys. This is the first show back in 2022 where we actually have some type of news happening this year. And leagues. Last year we had the well, it was nothing, and then the CFL stuff. Then it was Fan Control, the Spring League, which kept the lights on, really. And then we've had nothing, and now finally in 2022, it's building leagues. We're going to get 2 full-fledged football leagues rocking and rolling with employees and players and coaches in 2022. Super excited. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll get to your social right after this. Stay tuned, my friends.
What's up, XFL Army? If you're a fan of the XFL News Hub and you have a telephone, which I know all of you do because you're sitting there playing on your phones all the time, then why not download the XFL News Hub app? That's right, it's on iTunes. It's on Android. We have an Android version and an iPhone version of the XFL News Hub app. So what do you get? You get the latest news from XFL News Hub, the premier source of XFL news in the universe. Plus, you get push notifications when we have breaking news. You will be the first to know. You can leave a comment on some of the news right from your phone. Plus, you get this podcast on your phone as well. Remember, you can leave us reviews on the Google Play Store or iTunes. It links to other social media, our other social media accounts, and so much more. Be in the know. I know you're on your phones. People are on their phones all the time. They never get off their phones. So why not just download the XFL News Hub app on your Android or iPhone today? All you need to do is go to the Google Play Store or iTunes and just type in XFL News Hub. That's XFL News Hub. Download our app on your phone today.
All right, my friends, let's get into some of our Facebook comments here. My monitor starts working. First up on the XFL job posting in the new era. Let me click on this so we come back to life. There we go. I don't know what the heck happened. The first XFL job post of the 3.0 era about the comptroller. Eric says, what's also interesting, troublesome is it says also familiar with QB. Really, you want to run a large with a program, QuickBooks, program that is a glorified checkbook. I guess they are looking to save money on getting a good program that can do much better. Interesting. That was from Eric. Nerdy response, Eric, but okay. Scott says, if you're looking for a temporary job that will fail to pay when they shut down, the XFL is for you. Okay. And Lance says, the Failure football league. Okay, and Dave says The Rock sucks. Very negative on the XFL putting out a job here. A lot of people are going to talk about that, how it's going to fail. I wouldn't. I mean, I get there's so much dysfunction on social media, and that there's a study that says that people who are jerks on social media are really jerks in real life. There's some study that said that. Our man Evan was putting out this big list of some USFL players, 15 USFL skill position players that they should take a look at. Great list, lots of different names. You should check them out, especially when they come out with this draft pool thing. We'll get into that in a second. Brian says, XFL News Hub, I have a question. When are open tryouts for the teams? Glad they're bringing back players, but I thought they'd have tryouts. No tryouts in the USFL. Evan was also at the Hub football, and that's what I tell people. Fan control football, Hub football are your two options when it comes to these leagues. They're not going to have an open tryout where you show up for 30 minutes or even for a day. Like, you need an agent. You need an agent to get into these leagues, and you need to start somewhere. You're not going to start in the XFL or USFL. You have to start from the bottom, and a lot of people don't want to do that. About time we're joining the Panthers as PJ Walker is a backup. Caleb says that makes Cam the fourth best QB on the roster. Dang. True, but dang. And I am concerned about PJ Walker because I fear that Matt Rule is going to get canned. And if he gets canned, then PJ is out, which would be good because I would love to see PJ back in the XFL. I would assume an NFL team, though, would pick him up. I think he's proven himself. But again, he had all the opportunity, and then they brought in Cam. When you had PJ Walker, that was a complete waste. Marketing thing, I don't know. Former Browns head coach Hugh Jackson turns down the XFL coaching offer. Tons of reaction with this one. Tons. Grant says, great job, coach. We need you at Grambling. And I think he'll make a great football coach there. Sean says, I would too. Hell, they fold before the first game every time. Ouch. Dale said, this guy's one of the top 3 worst coaches in history. How does he keep getting jobs? That's from Dale. Javier says, we get more coach are still around better than him. Don says, why do people keep giving this guy opportunities? Gregory says, he knows where he is needed the most. That's HBCU football coaching at Grambling. Thanks, Coach Hugh. Yeah, I think he'll do a good job. I think that's a good fit. That part about the XFL reaching out to him, and that was within the last month or so. That little tidbit was put in there. I thought that was kind of fascinating. So good luck to the coach there. Let's get into some Instagram reaction to this as well about the coach Hugh Jackson. Studson. Oh, let's see here. See if I can fix this. Okay. Studson says, as a Browns fan, I just wanted to say that the XFL has dodged a major bullet. David Earl Cross says, oof. Demarius Helton says, I personally believe the XFL should try to bring back all of the 8 head coaches of the current 8 XFL teams from the 2020 XFL season for 2023 so that there will be some consistency and familiarity between the XFL teams and the fans in each of the current 8 XFL franchise cities and teams in the XFL should return. Franchise cities and teams for the XFL return season in 23 as well, as my view. Bring back Jonathan Hayes. I would love to see Jonathan Hayes back in St. Louis. That would be awesome. Yeah, I agree. It would be nice to bring everybody back because I want them to finish what they started. But I'm not sure all these guys will be out here. I'll be out there. Blake Beltran, 03. Any news on if there will be a San Antonio team? Nothing yet. Russell, the Truth Seeker, go Battlehawks. You have it there. And this was, Evan had this article. Here's a picture from Hub Football. He did an article, 3 offensive standouts from December Hub Football Camp. So check out Evan's article there. If you're a player and you want to get involved, Hub Football is the spot. if you don't have an agent, like you need an agent, and those are places that can give you an opportunity. All right, let's get to the Twitter, the craziness that was. Well, first though, let's get to our YouTube, which had a ton, and we'll just go through them quickly of questions and thoughts and processes. Ugh, I had to fix this again. Okay, we are back. Jesse says they should cities in Louisiana and Oklahoma or Alabama, great states, big following for football. Then people start talking about all the different things. Isaiah says, awesome job, Mr. Perry. Quick question. Is USFL 1A, XFL 1B for you? XFL is 1A and USFL is definitely 1B. And then CFL would be 1C right now, potentially. Could move up. We'll have to see how this next season goes. But I'm interested in all things. But yeah, XFL is my bread and butter. That's the name of the site. But all of these leagues, USFL, fan control football, CFL, I want them all to succeed. I think there is such a market. Being involved in this over the last couple years, there is such a market for this, especially in the U.S. And there is a good market. We're getting a lot of nice traffic on the off season for our CFL News Hub site, and I'm really excited about that. USFL has a lock on Birmingham, Chris. Yeah, of course. Wow, that did take a rocket scientist. Ferdinand says, I hope that the new teams, new cities will be in addition, not instead of, the excellent team identities of 2020, with the obvious exception of the Rednecks. And I agree with that's what I hope. I hope there is an addition to it. I'm just saying, if I were them, I would play it safe. Mickey says, I think they should do their own thing for the most part, keeping St. Louis and Seattle. And then he talks about other markets. That's an interesting there. Daniel says both leagues could draft players off the NFL benches, practice squads, HBC schools, Division 2, 3, NAIA, etc. Yeah. I guess they could do that. He says, but yeah, NFL players, if signed to rosters or even practice squads, are certainly not eligible to play in the XFL, unless, and this is from Football Reality Check, unless they, remember at the end of the season, any guys on practice squads, they need to be re-signed at the end of the NFL season. So we'll see. It would definitely be interesting after next week what XFL guys get cut. But then those guys get cut, and then a couple weeks later they get signed. So it's like, what's the point of writing this? Bilky Yank 1 says, new UC San Diego 35,000 seat stadiums opens this fall. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. He also says, best time to drop XFL news is during the 2 weeks between the NFL Conference Championships and the Super Bowl, early to mid-February. 100%. I've talked about that before. I totally agree. Let's see here. Clint says, forget the CFL. The big hitters like Fox, NBC, behind the USFL, this league should survive. The XFL should focus on getting established. XFL and USFL should have a championship game that would explode viewer interest and bring serious money to both leagues. I agree there. And I've said this before. I just can't see them going head-to-head for 10 years. I hope so. I think that would be fantastic for players and personnel and all sorts of and jobs. I just don't see it. Timothy, I want a Bay Area team. Okay. Let's see here. I think Memphis would be fun. Magic Vlogs. Anthony says, I would love to see a Canada or Mexico team broaden out football. Maybe it'll push the NFL to want to bridge out to other countries too. That's certainly a possibility. Robert says they keep the 8 teams, add one new one. I know what he says. I hear before. Be same team, 8 more too. This is my opinion. Let's see. CWAO experiences, my opinion that all of this is that either the USFL or XFL will have to merge next year or the year after, or one of the leagues will fold, because I just don't think there's a big enough market for 2 spring leagues. Not saying there isn't one, Battlehawks, anyone. I just think because it's already difficult enough to get fans for new leagues because there's so much uncertainty, and there isn't that emotional attachment, except for cities where the NFL teams, also USFL, has made a really weird but interesting decision to play all their games in Birmingham, which isn't a terrible one. Alabama is a huge football state and positive for the game. So yeah, I'm with you on those points. I am fearful that these leagues, I don't want them to beat each other up and out of the game, so to speak. There, let's see here. Let's go to the tweets. This is the part where I think things get a little interesting. Okay, we'll get to this first. So Jeff Reinbold was in the USFL. Sorry, USFL. CFL with the Hamilton Tiger Cats, my Hamilton Tiger Cats. He put an open letter on the 31st saying that he was leaving. He thanked everybody, such a great journey. And he said, of course, in the end, he said, with aloha and aui maui masaska hodi. So Jeff Reinbold is a June Jones guy. He's worked with June Jones in the past. And Hamilton Tiger Cats are a great team. And the organization is good. There's some changes going on. They have a good head coach. I mean, things are up and up, and I'm coaching for the Hamilton Tiger Cats. I would assume is a good gig, and he's leaving. He didn't say where he's going, but he is leaving. And it wouldn't shock me if Jeff winds up with June Jones either in the USFL or XFL, and given the fact that it sounds like the USFL is going to go younger, that would make it the XFL. So I'm real. This was interesting, and there is a June Jones connection to something we're going to have to keep an eye on, as these guys could be. The leagues might not have made, they might not make a full announcement of these coaching hires. They might do it all at once. However, we'll just have to see, because these guys have got to, these guys are looking for gigs, and it's like, okay, who's your coach, who's your assistant, who is the equipment guy. All this stuff needs to happen quickly. So we should be getting this information from definitely the USFL very soon, in the next week, couple weeks at the latest, and then the XFL in the first quarter of this year, because they really, June is around the corner, and heck, they're playing games in the USFL here in April soon. All right, on to, so this was happening over the weekend. My phone was blowing up. So there was chatter. So there were some players that put out that they are part of the USFL draft, or just kind of tweeted things about the USFL draft, or being part of the draft pool, I should say. They were coming out saying that they were part of the draft pool. And then others were reporting that these guys were in draft pool or whatever. I could tell you, after I was digging, that no player was contacted by the USFL. When you ask some of these players, because I was having tons of people reaching out to me, and I would ask them, well, who specifically did you talk to? Did you get something today? And then they were very vague and didn't really answer, because I think a lot of these guys, I think, were just, like, hey, I'm declaring for the USFL. And then people were saying, oh, well, these guys are part of the player. But no, they're not. So hearing about the chatter was much ado about nothing. I was told that things are coming real soon, maybe in the next week or so, when it comes to a USFL draft or draft pool, or players in a draft pool. There's a lot of news going to come, especially from the USFL, quite quickly in the new year, coming very, very, very soon. And you guys will be the first to know when we find out. But the idea that the USFL has reached out to any player right now is not true at all. And I get the power of social media, and I get the power of a site like XFL News Hub, and why, when we put out things, then all of a sudden we would hear from the leagues, and they would be like, no, don't, because their phones are blowing up and people are asking questions. So we're definitely a conduit of news to kind of get out there. Reed also reached out to somebody from the Marcast. This is from already some player department, and this is straight from them. Nobody's actually in a draft pool unless they've been signed a contract with us first. We won't begin signing players until later this week, Players may certainly be considered as a prospect for the USFL. Nothing more at this point. That's it. So unless they sign a contract, and that was what I was getting at. Did you talk to somebody? Did you sign something? Who spoke to you today? And all of them did not have an answer for that. It was just, oh, well, my agent talked to somebody a couple of weeks ago, whatever. So the idea that there's going to be a draft happening soon, the only thing I know about the draft is that it might be televised and not. I haven't heard a specific date. Clearly, you need to have coaches in place in a draft. People are throwing out February. That's not any kind of insider information whatsoever. That is just kind of putting the dots together. I mean, you need to have some kind of draft in February. You definitely, at least in Fox, I would assume they're going to do it. Maybe they do it before the Super Bowl, or they're going to do it quickly after the Super Bowl. Remember, they got to get their things out in March also, too. A lot of players are going to get cut soon, starting after this week. So that will play a factor in their draft pool. And that happened a lot with the XFL when there was that supplementary draft happening too. I don't know if the USFL is going to do that, or they're just going more younger players. We'll have to kind of find out, but we should be getting something from the USFL in the next week or two. And remember, this stuff is fluid. Relax. If it doesn't happen this week, don't be like, oh my God, they're such a failure. They suck. Like, this is all fluid stuff that's happening. Like, as we speak, things are going to change. We're going to get the Alabama announcement is coming soon. I know that also, whether it's this week or next week, but definitely there's going to be a lot of news from the USFL coming real soon. So that's the whole point I wanted to make about this whole draft pool and people declaring themselves. This happened before in the XFL, and there was players that I've never heard of and didn't hear from since. And if you don't have an agent, like, don't expect somebody just to call you because you played college ball a couple of years ago. Unless a coach knows you or something like that, like, you need to be connected somehow, whether it's through coaches that might be part of the USFL or any of those kind of things. There's a lot of just those things get blown because people are excited, and I understand that. But I'm just telling you what people within the league has told us, and that's like there is, like you said, nobody is actually in a draft pool unless they've signed a contract with us first. We won't begin signing players until later this week. So there you have it. That's all I could say about that. Hunter's Take, he said, at Hunter's Take 1, he says, XFL has what if XFL has merged on all sorts of other leagues? I mean, that's just the CFL and all these other leagues. That would be monumental and craziness, but I just don't. That's just a lot, and that's not going to happen anytime soon. But I appreciate the tweet there. Richard talking about hearing the chatter about being contacted by the U.S. much to do about nothing. It's coming real soon, just hasn't happened quite yet. That's what I put out there. And believe me, especially when what I've learned over the last year or two is that, like, and this is not a knock on players, is that there is a lot of, like, coaches talking to a player. He said, she said stuff that happens. It happened in the XFL. It's happened already in the USFL where I heard this coach told me this. Meanwhile, that coach didn't know what they were talking about. That kind of thing. Richard says, my problem with this is that they are going for TSL players only and contacting other players, but on tryouts, they're leaving a lot of good players out there who can play, and they have no coaches and who's scouting the players and who's picking up the players. I think all that stuff is happening. I think you've got coaches. I think right now they're just trying to pick a pool of players. Coaches will have involvement. It'll be interesting to see who these coaches are and who they want to bring in, who they want to add to the player pool. I would assume that there's coaches already kind of in place, and that process is moving. There's scouting already being done by the USFL, so they're going to bring players in. We'll get answers here soon. Relax. It was Christmas last week. It was New Year's a couple days ago. It was Christmas the week before. You're not going to get all your answers, but it's coming. It has to. So we'll have to just stay tuned. Kid Coheed talking about the channel. Is there a chance players were forced to sign NDAs till kickoff? No. I don't think any of that stuff is going to happen. I'm just telling you, I just don't think. I think that process will start this week, and we'll hear some more players. But we want to, until they sign a contract, it's just chatter at this point. Some people might think that they're in and might never get called. It's fluid, but it's happening. Let's see here on the Twitter. Oh, you can't even see it. At the Soulman57 XFL News Hub, do you know if the USFL is going to host open tryouts? No. There could be a combine where the players, again, remember the timeline is ticking. You have January, February, March, April. I think they're going to, there wasn't really a big combine for the spring league, so I don't think there'll be a combine. I don't think there will be. I think they'll pick their players and then they'll just go and start practicing together, and that's it. But no, there is not open tryouts in the USFL. I can tell you that is certain. No open tryouts. Remember, think about the timeline. We're already in January. There's just no, logistically, and especially with what going on, there's just no way to do this kind of stuff, especially when they're trying to do a slow build and not a massive build. Time will come. Maybe they'll have open tryouts. But again, hub football, you want to get your name out there. And, I mean, why do these teams want to waste their time if players haven't put in the work per se by, trying out for fan control football or trying out for hub football or played in the European League football and have game tape at other places, not just guys that were sitting at home waiting for an opportunity and then finally was like, I want to play in this league, but didn't play somewhere else. And I don't know if the USFL has any interest in CFL players. I've heard that the pay is going to be pretty good. We'll just have to wait and see. But that news should be coming this week, if not next week. I'd be surprised if it didn't. The other thing is the Hula Bowl. If you didn't see this, College Football All-Stars will be in the Bounce House this week or next week. All 32 NFL teams will be there to scout them, along with the XFL, USFL, and CFL. The rosters for Coach Billick and Mike Smith will be released soon. I wonder if any of these two guys have an interest in the XFL or USFL. But yeah, they'll be coaching. Very cool to see at the Hula Bowl. Some up-and-coming players might get a see at your XFL and USFL. It's great to see now. It was basically college football, CFL guys, but now you have USFL guys, XFL guys at these games and events. I just think it's good all the way around, my friends. So I think I answered that question about the draft pool thing. And that was only happening on Twitter, the Twitter's world. We know how that goes. All right, let's quickly go through some of these emails. Paladin Demo sent us some pictures. He said, busy this month. Got the new Dragon Bowl box set and other regular bowl teams. Here's the themes. The teal Memphis Maniacs XFL. He's got the white Adams College for Revenge of the Nerds. Okay. Purple is Bishop Sycamore. Had to have teams whose initial is BS. All right, that's cool. Very cool stuff here. And template for passing, scattering, and ricochet already done with the Bishop Sycamore colors. Pretty cool there from Paladin Demo. Appreciate him sending us his cool pictures and cool artwork. Love that kind of stuff. Let's see here from Rashad says, hello. When are tryouts in the XFL? I'm a high school graduate. University got involved with the program. Again, best way to try out is by playing in hub football or playing in fan control football and getting game tape or ELF. You want all in? Hit the ELF. It's your best bet there. Ken says, hope all is well. While watching the football game last night, I made a list of potential XFL cities in U.S. I did not include any of the 8 named USFL cities or Canadian or international cities, though I am convinced Danny wants to be in Mexico and Europe soon. Yeah. Take a look. All the stadium figures are courtesy of Wikipedia. Comments here are my own. Nickname guesses were mine as well. Here you go. Enjoy. Keep up the great work. P.S. By the way, I don't know, but I think it would be a major success. Fargo, North Dakota intrigues me. It could be the XFL's Green Bay. Green Bay's TV market is 158th. Would love to hear about your marathon training. I've been training using Peloton. I was using the Peloton app. They have a training program, and I liked it. I mean, as a former trainer, I could have wrote out my own stuff. I did not want to deal with that. Like, just show me what to do, and I will do it. That's all I care about. On his list here, I mean, he's got Columbus. He's got broken down by TV market. Milwaukee Mustangs, 40th TV market. Portland, San Diego, San Antonio Scorpions, Denver Bighorns, Salt Lake City, Raleigh, North Carolina. Raleigh would be Rottweilers. I don't know about that. That could be all right. Orlando Apollo/Vipers, Arizona Hotshots, Atlanta Flames, not in Atlanta. Atlanta is a terrible sports town. Just pointing that out. Memphis Express, he's got it all. It's kind of broken out. It's pretty cool with the stadiums that could be done. And comments to each one. So this is a pretty cool list. I can't go through it all, but definitely something that we will definitely keep an eye on this, because this is a good list about stadium and stadium capacities for some of these cities. And we'll see when they make these announcements, what they will. We'll keep this in our back pocket. Joe says Fox hasn't started advertising on Fox News or Fox and Friends or Hannity or Tucker Carlson. Fox hasn't even playing their good cards yet. Fox News has a zillion viewers. I wish both leagues the best, but Fox is a heavy hitter in all the sense of the term. I am not a fan of Fox News, Fox, any of those shows. The problem is they're old farts. You just look up the people that watch Fox News are super old. Maybe they would go for the nostalgia. My understanding is Fox News is not owned by Disney and Fox. Fox News is a separate entity owned by the Murdochs and has nothing to do with Fox. However, there is crossover. Like if you go to Fox Careers, so I don't really know but that's what my understanding was, that there's definitely a cutoff between Fox News and Fox. The other thing, the Disney-owned Fox versus the Fox News part. Again, I would recommend not watching any television news. It just rots your brain, does nothing for you, just pisses you off. But they do have a lot of viewers. They are 65 plus. If you took out Fox News's 65 plus demo, their ratings would be nothing. And that's from somebody who is doing ratings every week for AEW shows on Pro Wrestling News Hub. So I was always looking at the ratings. But again, they're just kind of sprinkling it out now. Fox is sprinkling out the USFL message, just getting it out there. I talked in Reed's podcast that one of my daughter's boyfriends is into football, and I asked her to ask him if he is, or does he know anything about the USFL, and he doesn't. And he's watched games on Fox and hasn't seen it yet. It's just a slow trickle out. It's going to build up, especially now that we hit January. Now that teams are out of it, they'll watch their final game, and then I think it's full on, let's go with the USFL. Hi, Mark. I saw a few of your articles in XFL. Do you have any information? USFL tries no tryouts. No tryouts. And you see, this is what happens is when rumors get started on Twitter, not only do the powers that be, either in the XFL or USFL, get inundated with message. Apparently, so do I now, because I've got another one. Jake says, are we ever going to find out when that USFL is going to hold open tryouts and such? UFL seems to be awful quiet in regard to the league that's trying to start up only 4 months from now. No open tryouts. There will be no open tryouts. I don't even think they'll do a combine, especially because given the current state, I think it's going to be pick your player. I mean, they definitely want to see players, and that's why they're going to go with guys that they know right now, and I don't blame them. Any kind of new up-and-coming young guys that are going to get a tryout, there's already all these other avenues like hub football or fan control football or these other, that they're looking out. And if they don't know who you are, then you have to let them know who you are by participating in one of these things. All right. That looks like, let's see, on the Facebook, let's go. I heard combines in January. I've heard no combines. They would need to just think about the current state of everything going on right now. Where would you have you haven't even launched, you haven't even announced your hub city. Maybe you could get away with it in January, but you still have to put coaches in place. I, I I've heard that there's not at this point. There was chatter that there might be one, but I've heard at this point that there is not going to be a combine. That's it. And that's what I've heard. Like it's just a big player pool and a draft and it's go. Remember, this isn't the same thing. When the XFL did their player combines, you got to remember, think about the XFL's player combine in June. They aren't even going to play, they aren't even going to do a draft until October. June, July, August, September, October. It's like 5 months between a combine and uh, a draft. You're not going to do a combine and then a month later draft them. You could. I have not heard the word combine at all from the USFL. I've not heard that word used at all from the people that I've talked with inside the USFL. I've not heard that that is going to happen. And that question has been brought up before. And I just thinking about the timeline, I just don't think it can happen. I think you have a big player pool. The coaches are going to dictate who they want on their teams. There's tape already out there on these guys. They're just going to pick their guy. I mean, I'm sure they want to see them up close and personal. But if you even think about the guys that the DC Defenders drafted, and I was at the combine, a lot of those guys at the combine were not drafted in the XFL. From what I remember in the past, I'd have to ask Mike Mitchell if he could ballpark me a percentage of guys that participated in the XFL combine and wind up getting drafted in the XFL. I feel like it's pretty low from what I remember. All right, on to, let's see here, on to the chat room. Again, remember, smash the like button. We want to get to 100 likes. That would be perfect for this show. Let's see. King Sport Tool Review. Do you think Antonio Brown into the USFL? No. I feel, as much as people hate him, this goes to the whole CTE thing. I really think he changed when he got hit really bad in a game once. He was beloved. Like, everything was, like, cool with him. He took that big shot. I forget where it was, who it was against. And he was always kind of downhill. And it's scary to what's going to come to him in the future. I have a feeling it's going to turn out bad. I will say, Fan Control Football, but I think Fan Control Football reached out to him and he blocked them. I think that happened today. Paladin says, Return of the Maniacs, all for Memphis and Chattanooga getting teams. That was from King Sport. Zach says, don't know if you've seen yet, but Danny Garcia just broke Twitter again. Oh, did she? Really hoping there's teams. Danny Garcia broke Twitter again. Let me check that out. When did this happen? John Paul Oswald says FCF 2.0 going full indoor rules. Let's see here. If I can pull up Danny Garcia. Oh, what is this? XFL scouting has begun. Hold on. Let's take a look at this in a second. We're live on here. The XFL, not to be outdone. And usually these things, let's see here. So this is from Danny Garcia's Instagram. All right, hold on. Let's pull up Instagram. We are live. Don't you love a live show? I love a live show. I'm going to pull it up. Instagram.com. We are pulling it up as we speak. Let's see here. Danny Garcia. Let me pull this up just in case. We are live, my friends, live. Oh, let's see here. Oh. Let me go back. I got a shot. Oh. Ah, hold on. Dang it. I'm trying to get a good screenshot. Ah. All right. So this is from, I mean, this isn't really huge news. Let me pull it up here. Let's see here. Pulling it up here. So this is, let's see what's better. There we go. So this is from Danny Garcia's Instagram. On the field in 365 days, training camp 2023. Danny Garcia says January 2023 means 12 months away from the 2023 XFL training camp. Yeah, and that's something that we've already said on the timeline is January 9th, 2023 XFL training camp begins. So there you see it. So Danny Garcia basically, going here, just confirming that the XFL training camp will begin in 2023. Very cool there. I'm glad that's pretty late night doing a message out there. But there you go. 365 days till XFL training camp in 2023. Very cool there. What a good way to end the show, my friends. Nothing but being excited, right? Are you excited? But we've got to see what the deal is with USFL first. We knew this was coming. Let's see here. Finally, coach slipping some juice out of a straw. Hugh Jackson turned down the XFL. That's too bad. He's a great character. He would have been great in the XFL. I think where he's at is good. I don't know if he was a great NFL head coach, but certainly at where he's at now is good. Paladin Demo says live and uncut. Yeah, we're doing it live and out there. And that's it for this week's show, my friends. Remember, you want to be part of the show, email podcast at XFL News Hub with your thoughts or record your MP3 or video on your phone. And we'll play it on next week's show. Leave a voicemail, 888-430-7692, extension 3. Or leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. We'll read it on the show. Watch us live, XFL Week in Review at 8 p.m. Eastern every Monday, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Twitch as well. Enjoy tonight's game, Ben's final game in Pittsburgh or something like that might happen. And there you have the timeline. Danny Garcia tweeted out that the XFL training camp begins. We have a date of January 9th, 2023. That is very cool with us. All right, my friends, thank you for everybody in the chat room. Remember, next week's show, unless some huge news happens, we'll have to do it later in the week, but I've got the marathon training. Wish me luck. Say some prayers. Hopefully we get there without any issues. I'm excited about being in Disney World. Like, we've already planned out what parks we're going to. I'm repping the USFL hat one day, and I'm repping the XFL hat the other day, of course, always. And probably the Hamilton Tiger Cats, too. I'll throw that in with me. Repping my hats. It's just, I just need to get past running for 5 hours. And I've done it. I've gotten to 20 miles. My legs were starting to give out. I can do it. And I can get there and I can finish. It's just going to suck. And I need stuff to listen to. So if you've got any suggestions for good podcasts to listen to, especially CFL podcast, message me. Or, yeah. So I'm hoping the Markcast is like 4 or 5 hours long this week. That would be perfect because I definitely plan on listening to that as well. All right, friends, that's it for me, folks. God bless. Stay safe out there, and I will see you all later. You know how we do it every time.